Okay, here you are. I gotcha.
Got us?
Yes, I have to apologize.
Right.
I'm usually in more professional attire. However,
No worries.
this Monday is the production day behind the scenes, so it gets a little messy around here.
I got you.
Understand.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Melissa from Molly Coddled Hash Slinger.
That's right. You got
which
it right.
is located in Oklahoma City. It is a mouthful, but apparently it's a delicious mouthful.
A delicious mouthful.
So
sure.
She is kind enough to join us and tell us a little bit about her business and what's going on. And so, everybody, this is Melissa.
Good day, Melissa. Happy Monday.
Hey, everybody. How are y'all?
We're great.
Well, it's extremely hot in this part of Oklahoma. I don't know if it's the same in Oklahoma
Same
City.
temperature.
We are literally melting, I believe.
Yeah, it's incredible. The people that were talking about global warming, they were onto something.
They maybe onto something.
Should have listened harder.
Should have listened harder. And are you by a stove, or not right now, but
I'm actually in the front of our retail store right now. So it stays a little cooler up here than it does in the back of the kitchen, of course, but we keep everything cranked down to about 68 degrees here.
That sounds perfect.
Just from a humidity standpoint and a heat standpoint with candy. So
yeah.
We lost our AC a few weeks ago, and that was a pretty rough week, but we're up and running again now.
That's not good. 68. We were just talking to a lovely woman that's up in Colorado way, and it's exactly 68 out in Colorado. She says she goes out there when it gets too hot in Oklahoma. So
that sounds like a good plan.
You're sitting in 68 degree weather. I guess that's a theme. We should get a 68 in here.
Good luck, but we don't have the money.
Get a couple extra air conditioning. What kind of concoctions are you? Well, first, Melissa, explain the business. Tell us what you do, and then maybe we can get into maybe some sweet concoctions you might be making today.
Sure. So, just as a background, Molly Coddled Hash Slinger was a complete accident. I lost my dad about 12 years ago and wanted to make a sweet treat in his memory for friends and family. And he was a foodie. My whole family's foodies. And I really wanted to make something unique because Dad didn't cook just normal things. And so I came up with caramel because he loved all things caramel. And anyone that's tried to make candy, especially caramel, knows that there is indeed a science behind it. So lots and lots of failed batches. We landed our signature salted whiskey caramel and really just made it for friends and family. And then the demand grew from there. So I had a food blog at the time that my handle was Molly Coddled Hash Slinger, which means spoiled chef. Okay. And when the business accidentally happened, that domain that I already owned kind of just took over with the business itself. So we launched commercially in 2016 with our candy line, after a couple of years of making it at home. So
that is awesome. Yeah. And I have tried to make caramel twice.
Yes.
Non-successful.
Oh, I've been a victim of your caramel.
Yep. Well, we use it as spackle when we get done or something
Oh,
else.
yeah, you can use it as like a household glue or something.
Yeah, well, to seal up a boat, just maybe depends on where you're at. Yeah, that is a very hard thing for sure to make.
It really is.
And is that what you guys are?
Persnippety, some people might say.
Website and kind of checked out a lot of the products, but it seems that the reviews, everybody is just blowing you up about your caramel and how delicious that is. So that must be the go-to thing that you guys have. Huh?
Definitely our staple product line. We have 4 regular line flavors and then of course add seasonal flavors or limited edition as we collaborate with other Oklahoma food companies from time to time. But with the opening of our retail store last fall, we were able to add some other candies to the lineup that traditionally have a shorter shelf life that made it really hard to launch commercially until we had the extra foot traffic for the business. So
what did you guys do before you had the retail store, but you were doing commercial?
We had a commercial behind the scenes kitchen that just didn't have a retail frontage. So how did you have to market your product did you put it in other stores or how did you get people to know about other than the social media, or is that what you use primarily? Sure. So my background, of course, is in business. So I had a lot of connections. Corporate gifting is our bread and butter. From the beginning, we kind of reverse engineered and is still something that is the main part of our company. And so corporate gifting kind of is one of those opportunities for us that we can send it might be one-off gift at a time for a realtor, or it could be hundreds at a time for a convention coming up, or a bank sending Christmas gifts or things like that. And then those candies land in the hands of someone else. And so it's kind of that funnel, if you will, that feeds people back to our website.
Right.
And so naturally, of course, with SEO and the power of Google, we do have quite a bit of traffic for retail sales on our website alone as well.
That's awesome. And why have we neglected? We should be in the corporate game.
We should get in the corporate game for sure.
We've neglected that.
I mean, we got the
product off.
Well, we got the product and we got the faces for it for sure. Okay. Melissa, here's something that right off the top that I wanted to ask. So, and you kind of explained it. The name of your name came from your blog, which means spoiled chef. Other than that, was there any other influences for that name? Like, did it just come to you in a dream?
No, I wanted to have a food blog. Food blogs were cool, however many, 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Oh, I
don't want to say they're not cool anymore, but they've kind of lost a little bit of relevance. But no, I was just kind of thesaurus.com figured out that name. And
I got you.
We have had several business branding professionals, if you will, suggest that we change our business name for some
Don't ever do it.
I'm pretty stubborn. I'm a country girl, and with that comes quite a bit of stubbornness. And so we polled our customers at some point back in like 2017, 2018, like, at this point, we've grown. Do we do a rebrand? Now would be the time before we grow to the next level. And our customers were like, no, we love your name. So we know it's a mouthful. We know it can be hard to remember, but we kind of like to think that our candy leaves enough of an impression that doesn't really matter.
Do you know what, Melissa? It's not a mouthful if you are a Don Knox fan, because Don Knox, I'm sure you've made the connection, or someone's told you about Don Knox used to say Molly Coddled all the time.
All he would say.
That's all he would say.
Yeah.
Just walk around and say, stop
and,
Molly Coddled.
You walk into our candy shop and it feels like you're in an early 1900s candy shop. And I'm a lover of Oklahoma history and of antiques and history anyway. And so our candy has a deep root in the origins of the ingredients we use and the names behind our candy and things like that. And so, Molly Coddled was very used back in the early 1900s as spoiled. Oh, she's so Molly Coddled. And then the Molly part got dropped, and now you just hear the term coddled be used quite a bit. Yeah. So
I love the name. I think it's unique, and that's would set you apart. And so I would never change that name. Yeah. It's so unique that's the one you would remember, even if you were eating some other person's.
Right. This is not as good as Molly Coddled Hash Slinger.
You should try Molly. Yeah. Right. Molly Coddled.
We're not a Kraft Carmel company.
Yeah.
Well, you're born and raised in Oklahoma?
Yep, absolutely. My husband and I both grew up in Yukon. Of course, we were born in Oklahoma City, technically, but his family goes back to the land run. His great grandpa came here from Germany. I mean, a few stops along the way before the land run of 1889 in Yukon. He was raised on that land. His mom still lives on that land. We lost his dad about 4 years ago, but his dad was a third generation cattle farmer, or wheat farmer and cattle rancher in Yukon. And so we actually found out several years ago that his great uncle owned a candy shop in Yukon in the early 1900s.
Really? Wow.
And so Andrew Wedman, we've got those pictures hanging on the wall in our retail store. Awesome. Yep, there's a picture on our website of Andrew. And then the gentleman that he was in business with married into the family at some point. And so the business wasn't there very long. It was called Palace Confectionery. Mm-hmm. But that building is still standing. And my goal is one of these days to buy that building and add the Palace Confectionery back to our hometown.
Well, we'll have to open a bakery right next door to you, because our Aunt Jean owned a bakery in Yukon for several years.
Really? So, who's your Aunt Jean? What bakery was it?
Well, I can't remember what was her bakery's name.
The name of her bakery.
Still owned, much like you. We have a Centennial Farm out near Okarche.
Okay.
So, and my mom was born in Okarche, and so we just lost Aunt Jean. She got to be there for the centennial celebration for the farm. And actually, it's a ranch. They still do cattle out there.
Yeah. Her last name was Baxter.
Yeah, Baxter.
Okay. So my husband's grandmother on the Wedman side, his dad's side, she is a Brugan from Okarche originally.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So very familiar.
Without a doubt, they probably all know each other.
They all know each other. Probably for sure. Yeah. So
I always say in Oklahoma, it's not the 6 degrees of separation. It's like 2 degrees of separation.
It's the 2. So it's good to meet a relative, Melissa, and we're really happy you got a candy. Doing candies because we can't do that. And
where is your store located in Oklahoma City?
So we're at Northwest 122nd and Rockwell. We're a little bit off the beaten path. Our strip mall was built in the early 80s and it faces the north. And now there are 2 strip malls to the north of us that kind of block our view. So we're like a hidden gem, if you will.
Sure.
How is the parking?
Yeah.
Parking is great. Yeah. We have a YMCA next door, so it can be a little congested first thing in the morning, but we don't open till 10:30. So we don't really worry about their traffic at that point.
Yeah.
Melissa,
nobody works out.
Melissa, best thing about running a business, and then we're going to have the worst thing. I mean, if there is one.
So best thing is that I don't have a boss. Anybody that has been self-employed and had a boss in the past life truly knows the value there. And so the worst thing is the long hours, of course, but the benefits of being self-employed definitely outweigh all the hard. And right now it's just, supply chain and all the costs that are rising. It's internal battle constantly of, okay, is our pricing structured right for us as a company to survive, compared to that guilt, because your customers become your friends of, are they going to be mad if I have to go up 50 cents or $1, and so we just try to be transparent as much as we can to explain that when it happens. But I think everybody understands right now.
I think they do. The frustration, it's not, wouldn't be with you. And like when we go out and run our taco truck, we run into the same thing also. And we don't want to raise our prices, but they're already mad that everything's high, just like we are, and they would understand. Yeah. But we've tried to keep, we kept our prices the same and just figured that it's good to spread our brand and to spread our product and have people enjoy and like us more than we weren't going to make that much money anyway.
Yeah, and it's for us, it's almost like, old school analog, getting out there promotion instead of,
Well, your choice is either shrink your portions or increase your prices,
right?
And either way, the customer is going to be frustrated.
And we're dumb because we've done neither.
Yep.
I mean, so.
Yeah. Well, I can promise I'm not getting rich making candy, I definitely made a lot more money in my former career, but at the end of the day, this is a legacy that we're creating and carrying on for our family. So
as we're doing these interviews, that's a through line theme that we've heard quite often. Yeah. We talked to a gal in LA that was working in the Hollywood scene, and she broke out to be a stand-up comic, something she didn't want to do, but didn't think she could do, and got involved in it. People say, hey, you're good, you should do it. So she, that was 3 years ago. So she's been on that path. But I mean, do what you love, right? So what's the worst thing? I mean, other than,
long hours. Yeah.
Long hours.
Yeah, the long hours, the supply costs. Honestly, I mean, I think as a CEO, you always hear the term, it's lonely at the top.
Yep.
Complain up, not down.
Yeah.
It is. It's the truth. I can go home and try to have a conversation with my husband, who is very business savvy as well. And his immediate response is to protect me, as a spouse. And so I have to remind myself sometimes of, yes, there are very legitimate, real things I have to discuss with him. But the flip side is sometimes discussing certain things with him don't help me get the end result. Yeah, so, to find a friend in business, I always say your biz bestie that you could be real with, that keeps it from being lonely. But at the same time, it's really difficult to build that trust because, I've had experiences where I'm a very, very much an open book. Like I will tell you anything and everything all day long about business, the good, bad, and the ugly, profit margins, all the things. But I'm guilty about being too open and honest with a lot of people, to the point that some local business people who I felt like I could trust being like, hey, we're thinking about launching this. Can we collab? And then you turn around and they're launching it on their own. And it's like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, I would never do that to somebody else. Yeah. But the reality is a lot of people are out there.
We've had that experience quite often in our business. We've tried to go to, I think we went to 90 some different towns here in Oklahoma. We're trying to hit them all, but you show up and you have a product that we've nothing we came up with, but like a loaded nacho or something. And then all of a sudden a month later, everybody's carrying loaded nachos. And you can either get mad or you can just say, well, ours is, I guess, because they see us selling a bunch of them. Yeah. So like, well, that's what people want.
Right.
And so they start selling them, and God bless them for, that's fine. And then you just kind of say, well, they liked ours, and if they like theirs, great. But they liked ours. So.
Well, and I have to look at it from like a positive spin. Like I'm a silver lining kind of person. So I try to look at it as, okay, that's a compliment. They thought mine was good enough to copy.
Right,
fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, the people that don't have authentic ideas for themselves are not going to survive in business. They're here for the short run. And I know that I'm here for the long run, whether I can pay myself or not. So, as frustrating as it can be, because literally just within the last 2 months, there have been 2 local businesses here in Oklahoma City that have copied some things. I'm like, I just have to laugh at it. Like, they're right on the head. I know who I am. I'm not going to bash them publicly.
No.
But at the end of the day,
it's just disheartening that people just, guys, come up with something. We've had that a lot on our comedy show. The last big one that someone made $1 billion is What Does This Meme? Which was kind of a game that we threw out there. Not that we invented it, but it sure is strange. Like a year later, after we said something, all of a sudden here's this game that you can go out and buy. But we've had a lot of silly ideas, but good ideas, if you thought them through, like that is actually a good idea,
right?
Someday we'll get credit for one of them,
maybe,
but if not, it's fine. At least the rest of the world can enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think one thing that we run into is people have a hard time, especially business owners, believing a different business is not there. When we go into a town, or we're like, we're here to promote you guys in your town, and it's really hard for them to trust that that's what we're doing. They think we're out to find the spot, and then we're going to be here all the time. It's like, no, we're just going to come in. We'll come eat at your restaurant. We'll tell people about it on our show, because we're just making tacos. I mean, it's not a bit everybody has.
It's community over competition, and unfortunately. And it's a blessing and a curse, again, because I am very much community and trying to collaborate with even businesses that are in similar industries of mine, identifying, hey, this is your strong suit, this is mine, let's collaborate on a product. Most people in this world just don't trust that can really happen.
And in today, Melissa, I think it's just because so many people got burned because a lot of people are on the take. So when you do say something genuine, like, hey, it's about community, I want to support you, support. It's let's scratch each other's back, because at the end of the day, if we could just keep our lights on, and still do something that we enjoy out there, then at the end of the day, that's a successful business. Not that you have to be way in the black, or just a little bit in the red, or it doesn't matter if you can build a community. And so many people has gotten burned, understandably. Because it just seems like today it's like everybody's on the take. And of course, with social media, everybody's trying to sell you something all the time. I mean, you can't scroll 2 seconds without seeing an ad for the new Buick or whatever that you're not interested in,
Well, and that's one of the foundations of why we support American made only, in our entire supply chain. And with that comes a cost. But I would say there comes a cost, but there's also a cost if you don't. You have to support those communities. And, it doesn't matter if we're buying pecans in a small town in northeastern Oklahoma. That small town, they're employing a bunch of people in that town, and that might be one of only a few employers in that town. So it all comes back full circle, whether it's here in Oklahoma or nationwide.
Well, that's awesome.
Tell me your favorite concoction you came up with so far. Was it your original? Was it original whiskey caramel?
The whiskey caramel is still my favorite. Awesome. I kind of go through waves. To be honest, I eat so much of it that I don't hardly eat it anymore. When we're developing research and develop new stuff, of course, I'll sample it. But right now, my favorite is the pothole. So our operations manager actually named it the pothole because my creative juices were not flowing at that time. But it is basically a pecan divinity. And I feel like, okay, we don't like to name things regular names around here. And if Ohio has the Buckeye and Louisiana has a praline, then Oklahoma needs its own candy.
That is,
and it's
they're very rich. Yeah, it's one of those things that is really hard to not want to lick the bowl after you're done scooping
for sure.
it.
Well, divinity by itself is sinful. So if you've got some sort of pecan praline stuck in some divinity, I am 100%.
But it's a lost art. Yeah, I mean, it goes right along with our branding of the early 1900s, is bringing back the candies that Grandma made.
There is nobody that is 21 or under that's probably even heard of divinity.
Absolutely.
And it is that is a lost art. My beautiful sister, I have one sister, and she's the oldest in the family, and she makes it every year, and I cannot wait for her divinity. And none of her recipes, she will not share them with me. So, it's one of those things. I'm on my own, and I think that she just does that to keep her brothers around. If we just go there for her baked beans and her divinity, goodness.
Us sisters have to do things like that.
Well, and then, hey, you know what? It works. That's why you do it, because it's not because I love my sister. I'll go there just because, not because she has divinity or baked beans.
That's a good incentive.
It sure does help for sure. If I'm going to pop in on the old sister, for sure.
Right.
None of my sisters make anything that's delicious.
Well, that's not true.
Oh, I hope they don't hear that.
I hope they do hear that. They need to start working on it.
That's not true. Well, we've kind of looked around. You got some sample packages. You have tons of products, and you're just going to town. Everything looks good. I can't wait to sample. I'm not in Oklahoma City too often.
My wife is, though.
But my wife is. She's in there at least 2 or 3 times a week. I'll have to send her by.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question, though.
Sure.
Something that we didn't, or at least for me, I can't speak for Shannon because I've seen him do this since we opened our taco truck, I didn't realize how that would ruin all other fast food tacos for us. And so I can't even, like, the thought of going to Taco Bell or eating any of that, especially huge commercial garbage, I can't even do it. And
unless it's midnight and you're drunk, right?
Well, right. And that's
right. Well, yeah,
Taco Bell still has a place in my heart.
You got to have a safety net somewhere, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. If I'm drunk, it doesn't count. But what about, can you go in and get a whatchamacallit and even enjoy it because you make such a superior product?
So I still eat other people's candy. It all has its place. If I'm wanting to gift somebody something with meaning that leaves an impression, I'm going for the artisan handmade something. Mm-hmm. But if I have a hankering for a sweet something, I'm going for a Take 5 bar or a frozen Reese's cup.
Most underrated. Take 5 is most underrated commercial candy.
Oh, I know. It's one of my favorites, that sweet and salty mixed.
Mm-hmm.
I still love sugar babies.
Sugar babies.
Well, you're a that would rip. Yeah, just rip my teeth out.
Yeah.
They
you got to suck on them until they get warm.
That's true.
That's dirty. Okay, and I'm not gonna touch that one.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said.
The name something matter.
I don't know. I just learned that. That's what I say about this sweet confections. Toblerone. It was made, and people just pull the piece off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're supposed to pinch it. I just learned that. You got the little
the ridges.
If you take the ridge, you take 2 ridges in your little fingers, and you squeeze it.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
And I've eaten that my whole life.
Right? So you try to snap one off the end, and sometimes you get
you'll break the mountain. Yeah,
and you break the mountain.
Pinch
You're supposed to squeeze those mountains together in a perfect piece.
Just a pinch
those
between
Germans.
I may have to go buy one of those after work today.
For sure.
Yeah. You learn something new every day.
That was my nephew's favorite candy bar. I didn't understand how he could afford it. He never, his truck was always broken, but he could.
He always had a pocket full of Toblerone.
I think we all prioritize things in life. It doesn't matter how much money you do or you don't have. You find a way to get the things you enjoy.
I think so too. I've got you.
Oh,
don't ever touch me again. This is my cousin, by the way. We're actually related. We've been doing podcasting he's been doing podcasting for 10 years. And I stumbled upon it because he's horrible at promoting himself.
Right.
And so I organically came to it on social media. I was like, the only person I know that's named Connie is my cousin back in Kansas. And I clicked on it and it was his stupid voice. And I emailed him or Facebooked him or whatever and said, hey, are you doing a comedy show or trying to? And he says, yeah. I said, well, it's really funny, but it sounds like crap. Let me help. And then that became... Yeah. All of a sudden, he
sounds like shit. Let me help.
Right. And so I started helping with audio, and then he would call me and act like we're having this conversation. The whole thing was being recorded.
Yeah.
And so that's how
can't have a conversation without recording it.
And so, then I was on the show. And so when I got back from my little excursion, then I became a staple around the show.
It's very common for creatives in general, whether it's comedy or art, to brag on yourself and promote yourself, because I even have a hard time with that sometimes when, in a world of social media, it's like, I feel like it's bragging, or being self-centered, and that's not who I am. So I get it.
But the thing is, between the two of us, Melissa, you're selling something that people want. Candy is I will say that though, but podcasting, like I probably listen to 3 hours of
podcast content a day, every day.
Sure.
In the shower, getting ready in the morning while I'm cooking candy, my earbuds are in, and it could be a comedy something, Joe Rogan or whatever, or it could be a business podcast. So I think podcasting is one of those very underrated things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, people keep saying that Rogan's a comedy show. I think he's gotten away from that. He's more of an interview guy, but
he is. But man, there are some, like if he's got Snoop on or somebody like that.
You got to catch the right guest for sure.
If he has Joey Diaz or one of his buddies on it, it can be pretty.
But that's the podcast my husband and I get to listen to every morning together. And then he doesn't want to listen to my business ones, but we can sit. We both get up earlier than we have to be. We both have our coffee together. That's kind of our time, and we listen to Joe on Spotify. So
that's awesome.
What does what does your husband do?
Yeah.
He's a pharmacist. Grew up raising cattle and farming wheat and didn't want to rely on the weather for a career and went to pharmacy school.
Okay.
He likes to tell people he's a drug dealer.
Right.
I try to encourage him to not say that.
Right. A legal one.
How tall is he? How tall?
Well, he's actually my height, 5'5", pretty short, but
how many lab coats does he have?
Yeah.
Pharmacies have.
He won't wear a lab coat. That's the thing. He refuses.
You've got to get him.
You got to get him.
You got to get him.
The only reason I would be a pharmacist.
For sure.
I guess I could get that.
Yeah, he wants to be approachable by his patients, and he feels like having a lab coat on kind of puts that barrier there where somebody that has a question doesn't always want to come forward and ask.
Does he hate to be called doctor? Is that?
Yes, he will not be called. Like if I want to get on his nerves, I call him Dr. Wedman, and it makes him upset. So,
gotcha.
Or I'll tell friends that are patients, I'm like, hey, when you go over there, ask for Dr. Wedman. But,
awesome.
We're farm kids, like we're country kids. We both showed livestock, and it's now been 20 years since he's been out of high school. But at his 10-year reunion, we went together, and you kind of lose track of people at some point after high school.
Sure.
But when you're from a small town and he's not really big on social media other than Instagram, people are like, hey, Wedman, what are you doing nowadays? And he's like, oh, I'm a drug dealer. And they're like, what? And he's like, okay, I'm a pharmacist. And they're like, wait, you went to pharmacy school? He was a baseball jock and an ag kid. I mean, no one had thought he was smart enough. So he calls himself Farm Boy with a PH at the front of it instead of
that's clever. For
we
sure.
got to get him at least a
we fish, we
hunt,
hunt, we're country kids.
Yeah.
There you go. That would work.
Yeah, maybe like get a lab coat, but then imprint, some suspenders or something on the lab coat. Something.
He does wear overalls again.
There you go.
I love that he wears good old key overalls again. Yeah, he should wear those to work.
Yeah. I just like the fact that there's jobs out there that you can dress up as a costume. And when I get his, logic behind it as far as wanting to be approachable by his patients. But if I could go to school and accomplish that kind of thing, I would demand
lab coat
for almost every scenario.
Yeah. Now, is he
have a dinner lab?
Is he involved in your concoctions? Because he is a pharmacist, so there is some knowledge there.
I, being a creative mind, learning how to cook for my dad, who'd never measured a single ingredient. We just eyeball things.
Sure.
I didn't go to culinary school. I'm not a chef, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be precise with making, and so one of the issues we ran into early on was shelf life stability with caramels. I do not want to add added preservatives and refuse to. And so we let our process and our packaging be the preservative. So his chemistry background did come into play with the sugar, like molecular breakdown, if you will, to extend that. So he helped in the beginning with that aspect, but he does not cook beyond like frozen pizzas and mac and cheese, or grilling steak. Mm-hmm. But he does have an active part around the shop. And we do pop-up events around the state. He's usually with me. Shipping season, he'll usually take vacation time away from the pharmacy, and he'll come in and physically help get shipments taken care of.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Melissa, tell everybody again how to get your products. Give us your address again, and maybe any contact information that you have, and get that out there for everybody.
Yeah. So on social, we're at Molly Coddled Hash Slinger, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. We're Oklahoma Candy on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find me directly and connect if you're on LinkedIn. And then, of course, we ship nationwide right from our website, mollycoddledhashslinger.net. If you're in the Oklahoma City Metro, we're about to start candies.
We missed that.
Just that last part. We missed the last part. It just kind of gurgled a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay. We're about 1.5 miles south of the Kilpatrick Turnpike and Memorial Road in Oklahoma City off of Rockwell. And we have lots of other Made in Oklahoma products in our store other than just our candies.
Super awesome.
And you ship nationwide, which is great. We have a lot of listeners that are all over the country. So those guys are welcome to peruse your website. And, my anniversary is today. So
happy anniversary.
Well, it's,
kudos to you for remembering
How many years has it been for you? It's like 12, haven't you?
Yeah, 13 years.
That's unlucky.
Yep.
Isn't that like what was that paper? That's a paper one, or
I'm not gonna say it's a painful day for me.
I didn't say painful, but how
the traditional gift.
The traditional gift, isn't it like paper?
On the 13th?
Or was it a cat? I think it might be a cat.
I think it's a Buckeye.
I always have to Google
it. Could be
it.
a Buckeye. I don't know. Or maybe it's Carmel's. It could be.
Hey, we could totally make our new one. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I might have to swing by tomorrow.
Melissa, here's the plan. We're gonna go get drunk and then go to Taco Bell and then come and get some caramels.
Sounds great.
From your shop.
Great.
So
I'd say have a Mexican pizza for me, but I don't think that's an option anymore.
Nope, they brought it back.
And we make
and then it sold out before.
Okay, that's right. Right.
We have our own take on that too. That's something we did steal.
We did steal that. Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? I had some friends that were able to get their hands on one, and it did not look the same. The company might have promoted but it was not the same.
Yeah.
I don't think
they're using different chemicals these days. Mine
had kangaroo, dude.
They're using all kinds
of coyote if you're in Oklahoma, right?
That's right, for sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and telling us your story, and I hope, I hope you do get that old building in Yukon too, because that is awesome.
Sure, that's a great plan.
It was on the market, I guess, not quite a year ago, right after we signed our lease with where we're at now, and it's a clothing boutique right now. But
it's either that or we were going to do a little brick and mortar, but we just have to go the other legal drug pushers, all those dispensaries, they're taking up all the little spots, which is okay.
But you know what? Here's the thing with that. The industry is not going to go away, obviously. I mean, we have 4 dispensaries right around our little section here. It's going to minimize at some point. You cannot tell me. My husband and I were driving up May Avenue one day, and there was a sign flipper outside that was like 5 for 25 rolls or whatever. And he goes like, here's the deal. You can't smoke 5 in a day and function as a human. So how many 5 for 25s can you sell as a business and pay your overhead for a long period of time?
5 for 25,
with the kind of competition. So
5 for 25 works, maybe a roast beef sandwich, but for weed, I'm sure it works too, but you're not going to get the return. We say that, but we've also sold tacos outside of some of these dispensaries where we look at it, it's like, do people need to come to the 5th one that was in town? And we're talking about a town of 200 people. They do.
Right.
They do.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible.
It is incredible.
We've done a whole podcast while we were driving to Oklahoma City. I think we sold at Galaxy 420 or something, which is
in Oklahoma City.
In Midwest City.
Midwest City, yeah.
But we counted like 43 dispensaries. The whole show was us just counting dispensaries as we drove there. Yeah.
So
I don't think this can
growing up in Yukon, 39th Street through Bethany is kind of one of the main ways to get to like Penn Square Mall when you were a kid or whatever. I joke with all of the new districts popping up around Oklahoma City or reinventing themselves that 39th Street should be called the Greenleaf District.
For sure.
Because it is nuts how many dispensaries are opening or have opened along 39th Street.
Or the main highway.
Right. There you go. Yeah, I don't ever want to see a small business close, but the reality is at some point that industry will consolidate a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, it has to. There's just too much there's too much to choose from. You can't have I don't even think I guess there's a loyalty, like he said, when we were selling, we used to park at the same place, every week at the same day, and you would see a lot of the same cars. So there is some loyalty to it, but we also know a lot of potheads.
To the owners.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're not in the game. We're not in that game. That's your
husband. I don't partake myself, but at the same time, I know that there's very legit medicinal use for it. I mean, my husband and I both use a pharmaceutical grade THC-free CBD. Mm-hmm. I have no more plantar fasciitis issues. My hip pain is gone. My knee pain's gone. So, I mean, it has a place.
For sure.
But yeah, it's funny now that the industry is here in Oklahoma. People sometimes come up to our door with the name hash in our name and think that we're an edible company.
Sure, right.
We never had that issue before the industry hit Oklahoma. So it's, it is what it is for now.
But that's a kind of also a good marketing idea. You know what I mean?
Some of our paid ads on Facebook has been, no, we're not that all in caps kind of candy store.
Yeah. Well, here's one I
thought
up, just a t-shirt with Don Knox on it, if you can get permission to use them, and commence to Molly Coddled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
I would buy one. I'd buy one for sure.
Yeah.
I just like Don Knox.
You really do.
I just do. When I saw your name, I'm like, I wonder. And I had to ask if you were. Melissa, so good to get to know another relative out from Yukon.
Y'all too.
Let's get together before the next family reunion. We'll come in and get some candies. And we'll definitely post this and hopefully drive some people at least to try you out. And I bet you anything they're going to like you.
I appreciate that. Send your wife by for sure.
You'll see her. She's she's pretty.
She's listening now. She'll be there. So
she'll be there.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll send as many people your way as we can.
Enjoy your day and stay cool in that 68. Don't
go outside.
Yeah, stay in that office there for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, guys. I
appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.